Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 2 of second year zoology. In the previous class, we have already discussed about some fundamental aspects of respiration, respiratory system, such as what is the importance of respiration, what is the need for respiration, what are the respiratory organs among various animals, and types of respiration, and respiratory mechanisms, all these things were discussed in the previous class. Now, I am going to discuss about the human respiratory system. Human respiratory system. It includes all these parts. External nostrils, also called external nares. External nostrils or external nares, nasal chambers, nasopharynx, and larynx, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles, finally lungs. First of all, external nostrils or external nares. There are one pair of external nostrils above our upper lip. A pair of external nostrils, also called external nares. They lead into nasal chambers. External nostrils lead into nasal chambers. These nasal chambers are divided by nasal septum. Each nasal chamber has three parts. Each nasal chamber has three parts. Number one, vestibular part. Number two, respiratory part. And number three, olfactory part. What about vestibular part? It has hair and sebaceous. It has hair and sebaceous glands. Particularly, it prevents the entry of dust particles into the respiratory tract. It prevents the dust particles as it has the hair and the sebaceous glands. And respiratory part. Respiratory part. This respiratory part conditioning the inhaled air, conditioning the inhaled air and humidifies the air. This is the importance of respiratory part. And olfactory part. Olfactory part means it is a sensory part. It is lining by epithelium, sensory epithelium, and the sense of smell, olfaction. This is about each nasal chamber, vestibular part, respiratory part, and olfactory part. And then through a pair of internal nostrils, these nasal chambers lead to nasopharynx. Nasopharynx, it is a portion of pharynx actually, common chamber for the passage of food and air. Actually, pharynx is a junction of the passage of food and air. So, the first part of the pharynx, nasopharynx, it is a common chamber for the passage of food and air. It is a portion of pharynx and it is located above the soft palate. Above the soft palate. What is palate? Palate is the roof of the mouth. Roof of the mouth. It is divided into hard palate. Anterior part of the palate is hard palate, and posterior part of the palate is soft palate. That nasopharynx lie above the soft palate, and then after nasopharynx through oropharynx and a pore and a aperture glottis, through these structures that nasopharynx enter into the leads to the larynx. 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 It is also called as voice box. Larynx is also called as voice box. The wall of the larynx is supported by 9 cartilages. 9 cartilages. Larynx is also called voice box. The wall of the larynx is supported by 9 cartilages. We can divide them into 2 categories: unpaired cartilages, paired cartilages. That these 9 cartilages are, we can divide them into 2 categories: unpaired cartilages, unpaired and paired. In unpaired cartilages, number 1, thyroid cartilage, only one. Thyroid cartilage, only one. And cricoid cartilage, only one. And epiglottis. One. Okay, 3. And then paired cartilages are corniculate cartilages, a paired, and arytenoids, a paired, and cuneiform cartilages. Cuneiform cartilages 2, 6. 3 plus 6, 9. Larynx is also called as voice box. It is its main responsibility is produce sound. Also called as voice box. The wall of larynx is supported by 9 cartilages. We can divide them into 2 types: unpaired cartilages and paired cartilages. Unpaired cartilages: thyroid, cricoid, epiglottis. And paired cartilages: corniculate cartilages, arytenoids, and cuneiform cartilages. Epiglottis. Epiglottis is a thin, leaf-like cartilaginous flap which is attached to the thyroid cartilage. Epiglottis is a thin, leaf-like cartilaginous flap which is attached to the thyroid cartilage. The main responsibility, the main function of this epiglottis is to prevent food particles into the respiratory tract. The main function of epiglottis, while we are swallowing food, it closes the trachea, and it prevents the entry of food particles into the respiratory tract. That is the main responsibility of epiglottis. Then In between this thyroid cartilage and arytenoids. See this carefully. In between thyroid cartilage and arytenoids, elastic fibers, yellow elastic fibers are attached in between the arytenoids and the thyroid cartilage. These are called vocal cords. Vocal cords or vocal folds. Vocal cords or vocal folds. They produce sound. Okay. And then the space in between the vocal cords and thyroid cartilage. No, sorry. The space in between vocal cords and arytenoids, there is a structure that is called rima glottidis. Rima glottidis. This is the structure which is present in between the vocal cords and arytenoid cartilages. And then one more point. In the respiratory part, three twisted bony structures. Three twisted thin bony structures are called conchae. It's an important conchae or turbinals. Conchae are also called turbinals. This is important point, conchae. Three thin twisted bony structures in between in the respiratory part of nasal chambers. Those are called conchae. Okay. And then the midventral part of thyroid forms a laryngeal prominence, which is called Adam's apple. Try to recall in your 8th class. You have studied that it is one of the male sexual characters, particularly during the period of adolescence. In boys, the laryngeal prominence, that is because of the elongation of formation by the thyroid cartilage. The midventral part of the thyroid cartilage forms a laryngeal prominence, which is called Adam's apple. This is one of the male secondary sexual characters among boys, it develops particularly during adolescence period. This is about larynx. And then trachea. It is also called as windpipe. It is also called as windpipe. It is also called as windpipe. It extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity. Trachea is also called as windpipe. It extends up to the mid-thoracic cavity. After that, it divides into two bronchi. Trachea, the wall of the trachea is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings. C-shaped hyaline cartilage. Actually, the type of cartilage is hyaline cartilage. C-shaped cartilaginous rings. It is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings keep the trachea always open because of the presence of these C-shaped hyaline cartilaginous rings in the walls of trachea. The trachea always open. Dorsally, these cartilages, C-shaped, the cartilages are incompleted. In front of and ventrally, the cartilage is like this, but dorsally, each cartilage is incomplete. Okay. The inner wall of the trachea is made up of pseudo-stratified ciliated epithelium. Pseudo-stratified ciliated epithelium. It extends up to mid-thoracic cavity, and then at the level of fifth vertebra, that trachea is divided into bronchi, two bronchi. This is trachea, and this is bronchus, bronchi, plural, bronchus, singular. This is the right and left at the level of fifth vertebrae. That trachea is divided into right and left bronchus singular, bronchi plural. After the entry of this each bronchus into the lung, it divides and redivides, and there is a branching takes place. For example, this is called primary bronchus. After the entry of this primary bronchus into the lung, it divides into secondary bronchi. Each secondary bronchus again divided into tertiary bronchi. This is secondary bronchus, and this is tertiary bronchus. And then each tertiary bronchi again divided into primary bronchioles. Each primary bronchiole again divided into secondary bronchioles. Each secondary bronchiole divided into tertiary bronchioles. Each tertiary bronchioles divided into terminal bronchioles. Each terminal bronchiole divided into respiratory bronchioles. Each respiratory bronchiole is divided into see this picture. Through this picture, you can easily understand how the branching takes place. So, how the branching takes place. Look here. This is primary bronchus. It is divided into so many secondary bronchus. So each secondary bronchus divided into tertiary bronchioles. Tertiary bronchi. Each tertiary bronchi again divided into primary bronchioles and then secondary bronchioles and then tertiary bronchioles and then terminal bronchioles. These terminal bronchioles again divided into respiratory bronchioles. These respiratory bronchioles finally divided into alveolar ducts. Each alveolar duct ends with a cluster of alveolar sacs constitute form alveoli. This is alveoli. Observe here, each alveoli, the cluster of alveolar sacs has a capillary network also. For the exchange of gases from alveolar cavity and blood, in between these two, alveolar cavity and blood, there should be exchange of gases. For that, each alveoli is richly supplied with capillaries. Okay? In alveoli, alveolar sacs are like this. If we magnify one alveolar sac, it is like this. This is one alveolar sac. This is the alveolar cavity. Look here, the wall, alveolar wall. Alveolar wall consists of simple squamous epithelium, one cell thick, only one cell thick. Observe here, only one cell thick. Simple squamous epithelium. This is a capillary. This is the endothelium of the capillary. It is also one cell thick. It is also made up of simple squamous epithelium. In between these two, that means the wall of alveolar sac and the endothelium of capillary, there is a basement membrane, this light green colored part, that is called basement membrane. Number one, simple squamous epithelium of alveolar wall plus the endothelium of capillary plus basement membrane constitute form diffusion membrane. Diffusion membrane. This is very, 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 very important, because through this diffusion membrane, the air which is present in the alveolar cavity, from the air which is present in the alveolar cavity, oxygen diffuses into the blood. At the same time, the carbon dioxide diffuses into the alveolar cavity and it is expelled out during exhalation. This is exchange of gases. Point of in point of view, exchange of gases point of view. This is very important. Diffusion membrane. How it forms diffusion membrane. Okay. And then this is our right lung. It has three lobes, and our left lung. Okay, this is the branching. You mentioned the branching totally, the branching mechanism of trachea. Okay, all these branches. That means primary, secondary, tertiary bronchi, and primary, secondary, tertiary, terminal respiratory and alveolar ducts constitute to form an inverted upside down respiratory tree. Respiratory tree. All these branches form respiratory tree. Of course, it is inverted respiratory tree, upside down respiratory tree. Okay. Okay, lungs. Lungs. See this picture? This is oral cavity and this is nasal cavity, epiglottis, larynx, trachea, and bronchi. And then this is the section cutting off. This is the section cutting off alveoli. In alveoli, there are so many alveolar sacs. We have already observed in that diagram. Okay, lungs. Lungs occupies greater part in our thoracic cavity. Lungs occupies greater part in our thoracic cavity. Each lung is covered with a double layered membrane that is called pleural membranes, like this. These two are pleural membranes. Lung is covered by double layered membrane. These membranes are called pleura or pleural membranes. In between the pleural membranes, these membranes are fluid filled. These membranes are fluid filled membranes. That fluid, pleural fluid. It aids, pleural fluid aids to prevent the friction. What is the friction? One surface of anything rubbing on another surface, that is called friction. Pleural fluid avoid friction, prevents friction. It reduces friction on the lung surface. Outer pleural, this is outer pleural membrane, which is close to the thoracic lining. This is inner pleural membrane, which is very close to the lung surface. In between these two, pleural fluid is present, which reduces the friction on the lung surface. Okay? From external layers, up to the respiratory bronchioles. Look here, primary bronchus, secondary bronchus, tertiary bronchus, primary bronchiole, secondary bronchiole, tertiary bronchiole, terminary bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, up to respiratory bronchioles. From external nostrils up to the up to the respiratory bronchioles. This part is called conducting part, which passes air to the alveoli. This is called conducting part. What are the functions of conducting part? It transports atmospheric air to the alveoli and then clears it from dust particles, foreign particles, and it humidifies the inhaled air, which has to, which is supposed to come to our body temperature before it reaches alveoli. Before it reaches whatever we inhale the air, before it reaches to our alveoli, the temperature of the air must come to our body temperature. That means that the conducting part adds some moisture to the inhaled air, then that temperature of atmospheric air becomes come to our body temperature. And next, brings the inhaled air to the our body temperature. This is the function of the conducting part of our respiratory tract. And then exchange part or respiratory part, exchange part or respiratory tract part. And then alveolar ducts and alveolar ducts and alveoli. These two parts constitute exchange part or respiratory part. This is the actual site of exchange of gases. This is the actual site of diffusion of gases. So, total respiratory tract is divided into conducting part and respiratory part. Okay? Okay? See this small picture. This is the right lung and this is left lung. Right lung has three lobes. We can see the branching mechanism of each bronchus. After the entry of bronchus into the lung, we can see here the branching mechanism also. It has only two lobes, the trachea, cartilaginous rings. Is that? Okay. One more important point is thoracic chamber. Most important point it is thoracic chamber. Thoracic chamber means thoracic cavity or chest cavity. Actually, it is an airtight chamber. Airtight chamber. How it forms? Thoracic chamber formed by dorsally by vertebral column. Dorsally, that means backside. Vertebral column. Ventrally by sternum. Ventrally by sternum. What is sternum? It is also called breastbone. It is situated at mid-ventrally in the chest cavity, chest region. Mid-ventrally in the chest region. It is also called breastbone. Okay. And laterally by ribs. In the previous class, we have discussed how the ribs are attached to sternum ventrally and vertebral column dorsal. Two sides, laterally, both sides, 12 pairs of 12 ribs left side, 12 ribs right side. Laterally by ribs and lower side by diaphragm. Dorsally by diaphragm. Our thoracic cavity or thoracic chamber is an airtight chamber. It is formed dorsally by vertebral column, ventrally by sternum or breastbone, laterally by ribs, 12 pairs of ribs, and lower side means diaphragm. Already discussed about the diaphragm. It is a diaphragm that separates our total body cavity into a small upper thoracic cavity or chest cavity and lower large, somehow big abdomen. So lower side by diaphragm. So any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, any change in the volume of thoracic chamber that reflects the pulmonary volume. That means, I told you just now that lungs occupies the greater part in the thoracic chamber, so that if there is any change in the volume of our thoracic chamber, automatically that reflects the pulmonary volume of our lungs. Why? Because it's such an arrangement is very much necessary for breathing, because our pulmonary volume will not change by its own, so that the change in the volume of the change in the volume of thoracic chamber reflected the change in the volume of lungs. Such an arrangement is very much essential for the breathing. So this is about the thoracic chamber and its formation. Okay, sir. Okay.